Hello, hello. We are the Transpositions.
We were all muted.
Stephanie is here, having camera issues because we had some kind of glitch in the talk studio, but she's working on getting back to us. She was audible, but she wasn't visible. She was black screen, but she's got a nice fog bank behind her she wanted to show off. Anyway, it's been a long time since we have all four of us here at the top of the show, and I was all excited for it, and then now Steph's dipped. So it's like, well, because me and Steph have been sitting in the backstage talking for like 20 minutes, right? And I guess you all have been in a different studio talking elsewhere or like waiting elsewhere.
Yep,
So I'm sorry.
In the nether.
I am so sorry, ladies, and thank you so much for being here at the top of the show. I love it. I love it when we start the show with the whole team because I miss you guys. I need to check in with you every week because sometimes, some weeks, this is the only time that we actually get to talk to each other. So, I mean,
it's true, unfortunately. But we also have all our segments this week. And it's been a minute since that happened, too.
Yep, full show. Did you break your headset, babe?
Oh, this thing's been broken for ages. I can't use my normal earbuds because my ears are falling off.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
I could only wear these for like 90 minutes, and then my ear is just dying. But
we need to crowdfund Ember some nice cushiony headphones with noise cancellation, all the works. We need to crowdfund that. They have cheap ones that are noise canceling for like $45, babe. Surely we can swing that.
Well, it's not whether they're cushy or not. It's my ears. There's really bad ear infections in both ears.
Oh no.
And it's the least of my problems at the moment, but we got to work with what we have.
Oh baby, I'm so sorry to hear that. So I want to say hi to everybody. I got Pragmatic Crystal out there. We got Mark Reed showed up. My Unfinished Journeys here. Hey. So thank you everybody for popping in. Haley is showing up. Hello, Haley. Yeah, just say hey in the side chat if you're there. Let us know. So
this say hello. In
this
fact,
is what Steph has going on right now, but
I need to redo my nails. They fell off. Well, most of them fell off. I had like 2 left, and I took them off. Mm-hmm. I don't have a particular color in mind. So, chat, what's your favorite color?
Ooh. Is black a color, or do you consider that the absence of color?
Black? I might have black.
Yeah, I have black. I'm a proper goth girl. I have black. Even though I'm wearing red tonight, it looks cute though.
Everything you wear looks cute. I'm so envious. I look so,
oh my gosh,
fucking frumpy and everything.
Oh, shut up. We were out thrifting today, right? It was me and Bo and Ben. And every time we come to the hat section, we pick out hats for you.
Oh, I love it.
It was like, oh, this is an Ember hat. This is an Ember hat. Anyway, I got
that's
these.
That's actually why I've been wearing this hat lately.
Look at these fucking gorgeous trashy boots I got.
Fuck yeah.
I love them. I love them. Anyway, we have transpositions to get to at some point, but
doing a thing.
I thought I was absolutely convinced that we were doing some kind of show.
It's been known to happen from time to time, I guess.
So should I add this new Stephanie? Because now we have 2 Stephanies.
More Stephanies.
No, do not. I'm having technical difficulties.
It won't let me kick them, so I'll have to just hide them. Because you're the host, right? That's why it won't let me. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Let me go ahead, and while you're working on that, I'm going to go ahead and get into our first story, if that's cool. So right now, this has been something we've been beating the drum about for, well, over a year now, since Project 2025 dropped at the very least, right? And I like how it has an Amazon ad right here at the top. Yes, the oligarchy is always going to be front and center, even when we're talking about marginalized groups, right? This is capitalism, but at least it's selling me stuff that it knows I like. It's selling me body sprays. Okay, so ACLU urges trans people who need passport updates to apply as soon as possible. We cannot stress this enough. And we've been talking about it, again, since before Project 2025 dropped. So if this is a concern you have, an issue you're going to be dealing with, my passport still has an M on it. I'm not even worried about that. Right now, when things go bad, I'm happy to just get out of the country, one way or the other. Right now, I'm not telling anybody to flee the country. If you can swing it to stay here and help keep fighting, please do. I'm in Texas right now. I'm in Texas, and I'm at the border. So things are rough here. There's a Instagram account I called El Paso or Fit Fam El Paso, and they cover so much of what's going on here with the protest, with the ICE raids, everything. So it's scary down here. Texas is in a weird place. We just had the big floods in Texas. Not here, not close to where I am, though we did have big floods here. Montana Avenue, which is down in the bottoms here in El Paso. All the tributaries to the Rio Grande, they all went over their banks this last week with the big rains that we had here coming off the Franklin. So it's climate change, obviously, but what we need? We need a National Weather Service advisory, right? And then people will stop getting washed away. It sounds
like big government or something.
Yeah, it's a little woke. It's a woke idea I have, but I'm part of this woke cult where we do things like try to protect our fellow man from natural disasters and catastrophes.
Keeping people from dying is peak woke.
Yeah, I mean, caring about other people at all. Empathy, gross. But anyway, this is just right up on generally we cite a lot of the same sources, but this is us talking about updating your passport. I just want to use this as sort of just a leap pad, really, to encourage everybody to take those steps, take those initiatives to there she is. Look, we have stuff on camera now.
Sort of.
Just no Casco Bay.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Steph Sands Casco Bay. It's weird to see her without the bay behind her, honestly. You get so used to it. But
Yeah, we're
just
on that.
The important thing is to get that passport updated. If you need an update, if you think that there may be a situation in the future where you need to leave the country, take those steps.
If you don't think there might be a situation, there might be a situation. Get your damn passport.
Really, it's that simple. And you get the booklet too. There's a little card you can get down like in border cities just to cross over, like day pass kind of thing. No, you need the booklet. You need a booklet because you're going to be, especially if you plan on taking like refugee status in one of our neighboring nations. I know Canada's. I don't know if Canada's offering that yet.
Nope.
Refugee status for trans people, but
not from the U.S. In fact, they've actually made it harder for people from the U.S.
Yes.
To try to, because so many of us were trying to get over.
Yeah.
We're the illegal aliens now.
There we go.
There we go.
Into the smog.
Hold on, let me blow you up so everybody can see how the bay looks.
Out of the fog. Well, I'm in the fog. The bay is very foggy. You can't see a goddamn inch.
Yes. Maine in summer.
Well, yeah, it is very definitely the foggy coast of Maine right now.
Mhm.
I would not wish to be out having to navigate somewhere.
All right. So, as of last week, the State Department is now complying with that order, according to court documents and an update FAQ from the ACLU lawyers, for which are involved in arguing Orr versus Trump. On July 2nd, the government released a new attestation form, an option explicitly laid out in the June 17th order itself, that is currently required for any passport applicant requesting a gender marker change, either from a previous passport or birth certificate. Applicants who need a different gender marker must complete any relevant forms, including both pages of attestation, when applying. So just
See,
roadblocks.
yeah. Well, see, I'm looking at my passport here. It's 14 January 2016 expires. In January 2025. Oh my goodness. I think I should renew my passport. And I don't need a change in gender marker. So, yeah.
So
I thought it was,
according to these,
it expires in 2026. It expires in 2026. So I should
next
renew
year.
this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should
So-
renew this thing. It expires in January. So now I can actually renew it. What I couldn't do, see, I was really worried about this last year because I couldn't renew it. It has to be expiring within a year. So after January, now it's expiring within a year. So now I can renew it. So I guess I think I will renew it. And
you're not requesting any changes though, because yours.
No, I'm not, because I'm an old bitch.
Yours has been the way it is for.
Well, you note the dates, right? Note the dates, because when did I do the changes? The passport was the last thing I changed. I changed everything in 2022. No, 2002. Changed everything except my passport. And then the prospect of Donald J. Trump being elected instead of Hillary Rodham Clinton caused me to go out and get my fucking passport and do that whole thing.
Right.
I lived through George W. I had all of the documentation, all of the old documentation, like back when you had to have the bottom surgery and all that stuff. You need to have documentation of all that shit. And I had all of that, but I never got around to doing it because it didn't seem to be a thing. But then it became a thing. And now it's even more of a thing.
Now it's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
So there's clarification.
My friend Alyssa did renew her passport, and with no issues, which gives me some hope. Bureaucratic incompetence is just the resistance.
You ain't even kidding. So they do have some clarification here for those requesting an X gender marker. They should leave the sex field on their application blank and mark the X designation on the attestation form instead. The ACLU notes, as online forms with an option for markers have not been restored. So this is just
they only started having gender markers in the 60s, right? On passports.
Right. What difference does it make? What difference?
Well,
why do you need to know someone's gender as far as their passport goes? What benefit?
Because all of those Brits with their long hair and whatnot, and all the dirty fucking hippies made it too difficult for John Strait to figure out who was who he could fuck and who he couldn't.
You know, honestly, I don't give a shit
Sorry,
though about
man.
John
Right.
Strait.
Well,
You know,
this is the revenge. What we are experiencing now is the revenge of John Strait. It is. It really
Yeah.
is. It truly is. I'm sorry. All the people that were scared of queers then are now older and richer and just as scared of the queers as they were then.
so is John Strait from Ohio? Because it looks like Ohio
John Strait
GOP
from everywhere.
Mhm. Oh my
obstructs
goodness.
voters' efforts to protect marriage equality and trans rights. Who would have saw
Right.
that coming?
As I was
Fucking
driving
Ohio.
through Ohio on the way to the ARC protest this past weekend, there were billboards all over the place talking, oh, marriage is between one man and one woman. And I'm like,
That's
we
nice.
haven't even finished exterminating the trans people yet, and you're already going after the gays. Y'all getting ahead of yourselves, fuckers.
No. We told you. No, come on, Amber. We tried to explain that this is where this is all headed. It's like I said, it's the revenge of John Strait. It's bad.
So, an ambitious ballot
Asshole.
invitation to amend the Ohio Constitution to protect marriage equality in the state and add several new protected classes to Ohio's anti-discrimination law has been split in two by the Republican-dominated Ohio Ballot Board. Surprise! The discussion means
Yeah, what a
proponents
shocker.
of the proposed constitutional amendment will need to collect double the number of signatures, nearly 1 million in total, to get two measures on the ballot in time for the November 2026 election. Let's see here. If approved by voters, the Ohio Equal Rights Amendment would prohibit state and local governments from discriminating based on race, color, creed, or religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression, regardless of sex assigned at birth, pregnancy status, genetic information, disease status, age, disability, recovery status, familial status, ancestry, national origin, or military and veteran status. The proposal would also overturn a 2004 vote that defined marriage in Ohio as between one man and one woman, dormant since 2015, which are with the U.S. Supreme Court decision of Oberfeld versus Hodges, granting a nationwide
it's like a bear. You know, it's like a
right to
bear.
state marriage equality. Go for it. Editorialize. It's time now. I'm paused.
It's like a bear. It's like a bear. You know how a bear has been hibernating, dormant.
How they
all
shit in
of
the
a
woods.
sudden. And well, yeah. And John Strait, in case anybody didn't know this, is a bear, actually. Some of you may be attracted to bears, but not me. They scare me.
Yeah, well, amendment.
It's man.
Amendment proponents want to wipe Ohio's marriage equality ban from the books in anticipation of attempts to overturn Oberfeld, following Justice Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito's call for the court to revisit the decision. Jim Oberfeld originally filed his case in Ohio against then public health director for the state, Rick Hodges. And we all remember this, right? It's 2015, big 2015 decision that basically set gay rights in law as far as marriage equality goes. But now they're like, maybe we shouldn't have done that because Jesus or something. The sweeping Ohio amendment would be an update to the federal equality amendment, which was ratified by Ohio legislature in 1974 and banned discrimination based on sex. The required 3/4 of U.S. states have approved ERA, but the amendment has not been added to the U.S. Constitution following missed deadlines and other disputes. Oh, how convenient.
Yeah, and it's a weird situation with the ERA because the only deadline is in the preamble, not the actual text of the amendment itself. So it's a complicated legal thing. Basically, people just don't want to do it. Shock.
Yeah, I mean, you got Terrence Upchurch here calling it what it is, a ploy to thwart transgender protection. That's the bottom line. I mean, it's about gay. Don't get me wrong. It's about gay rights too. They're just the transgender folks. We're the ones in the crosshairs right now. You see, but the whole end game does not include the gays. I'm just going to put that out so that like the gays against groomers or whatever, the anti-trans organizations, the LGB Alliance and things like that. If there's any actual gay people affiliated with those organizations, this type of stuff does not exclude you. You are the target. You're just going to get hit by the spray fire, and they'll come in and stomp on your neck when we're gone. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that first of all, the organizations you mentioned mostly are populated by straight people.
So right. That's no doubt.
Famously.
Yeah, famously. Second of all, I at least, and many of the people that I've known over the course of the past 27 years have been telling people since this drumbeat started. And when this drumbeat started, when did it start really seriously? Right after Obergefell. Right after Obergefell. We've been saying this since Americans Defending Families, all of this stuff, since they started doing this in the UK. Their money was funding the bullshit in the UK in 2015-16. That's when this shit started. Particularly the attack on trans people as a way to undo the civil rights that gay, lesbian, bisexual people had achieved. Because we were the least desirable, the least understood, the tiniest number, and it was easy for the motherfuckers to take their money and throw it into advertising and make it happen. And they did it in the UK, they did it in New Zealand, they did it in Australia, and it was all an experiment to see how well it would work. It worked spectacularly well in the UK, not so much in New Zealand, not so much in Australia, but Australia, you never know. But it worked spectacularly well in the UK, and they took all of the lessons learned and transferred them to the United States. And they're making it work here. And the end game from the get was the overturning of Obergefell and the overturning of gay rights. The trans people have been their key to overturning civil rights for not just trans people, for many, many, many people.
Yeah, there's a reason.
And for those of us who've been saying this since the game got going, and who have had to listen to people say, "I have your back," it's okay. Maybe now you get it, but God damn it, it's been a long, hard row. you know, my apologies for those who whose ire, who've taken my ire and misunderstood. I'm just spitting facts here. This movement against trans people is directed against all people that don't fit a particular thing. And Mark says right in the side chat, not all straight people are against the trans community. First of all, I want to make it clear there is no trans community. I want to be absolutely clear on this. The trans community and all of the language of community is disturbing to me because it assumes that all trans people have a particular view of things, and that's just not the case. I do not dismiss the idea of I don't exclude Caitlyn Jenner as a trans person, but I do not consider her part of my community. She and I have shared experiences for sure, I think. Not a whole lot. I've never had the experience of being a multimillionaire, but we do have one thing we share, and that is the experience of being trans. I think it's really important for members who are not trans to understand that trans people are just people. They are different. They have different political ideas. They have different economic status. We're not any kind of the thing that drives me crazy is the trans community and trans ideology. All of this is garbage. Folks, we're just people like you. We're very diverse.
We form communities, but you know, our communities are formed about other things that we have in common. We're all, me, Ember, and Steph are all, and Karleigh are all parts of the skeptic community, right? Where we participate in advocating for critical thinking and such. That's another thing that we have in common. There's trans people that I have nothing in common with and wouldn't want to interact with. And that's not, and I still think they deserve their rights. I still think they deserve to be to live their life as who they are.
Yeah, but that's the thing, you know. Let people live as who they are. You can and argue that that's like. I'll argue with Brianna Wu from here till you know, till she stops saying stupid shit. Same thing with. Same thing with Caitlyn Jenner. There are
Buck Angel.
people I or Buck Angel. There are people I vehemently disagree with on topics. Some of which include how best to explain, or at least, you know, how best to diffuse the situation where the broader community is trying to take away our rights directly. I mean, I certainly disagree with Brianna. I certainly disagree with Caitlyn. I disagree with their take that really what the best thing to do is hide. And I don't think that's I think that's maybe not the best way to go about it. I think we have to insist on our humanity. You know,
where are we going to hide? Where are we going to hide?
Where are we going to hide? Well, yeah.
Yeah, where are we going to hide?
Well,
I mean, really.
they're going to hide behind their millions. I guess the rest of us will have to figure it out.
I mean, well, my whole thing is, even if you got millions, where are you going to hide? I mean, seriously, where are you going to hide? There's really nowhere to hide.
Yeah,
and the fact
it's
of the
come to a
matter
head.
is, I didn't transition to hide. I transitioned to live.
Right. Right.
And that's what it comes down
Well,
to. I did not transition to hide. I am not running away because there's nowhere. Because really, you know the old song, "Nowhere to run to, baby, nowhere to hide." That's what's happening. There is nowhere to run. Run and hide. No, stand and fight.
yeah, well, there's that, but from especially from the point of view of people that transitioned at an earlier point in time, that was the expectation that you would in fact melt into the woodwork,
What does that even
and
mean?
just shut up about it.
But let's talk about that. What does that mean? And you know what? See, but for me,
It means
well,
being in a closet but with better clothes.
my
That's
thing is
all.
though, as a liberationist, I believe that that's the whole point of liberation is that you have a choice, that you can choose, that you can choose if you want to see my attitude. And I've had a lot of time to be thinking. And one thing I've thought about immensely is what do I believe? And one of the biggest things I believe is that I don't I don't yell being trans from the rooftops, but I'm sure the hell won't hide it either. I am who I am. And maybe being black in this society, I come from a very different direction with this. But to me, the black experience informs my trans experience. It informs my experience as an athlete and as a journalist and as a professional and as an advocate and as an activist. And yes, I am an activist. And I find that term to be very honorable. I will never, I'm sorry, I just don't buy the concept of if we just be normal. What does that even mean? Because I'm going to tell you, if someone comes up to me and says, we need to show normal trans people, normal in the lexicon that I've heard for most of my life is normal means white. You're not going to sell me normal because I understand where you're probably coming from with that. So no, I push back on such colonial nonsense, especially on this day of all days. And we'll have more on that in transposition sports a little bit later on, because I mean today it was affirmed in the European Court of Human Rights that Castor Semenya didn't get a fair trial in her last appeal.
Goddamn right.
And we're going to have more on that in transposition sports a little bit later on. I just put that into publishing now. But see, that whole issue is a textbook example of what we're talking about tonight. And we're talking about right now is this idea of what is normal. I understand I have to function in a cis world, but the point is, I'm not cis, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I can function in their world, and you have to. But my point is, I'm not necessarily striving to be them. That was never the point of making the moves I've made. I can no more strive to be cis than I can strive to be white. And that's my feeling on it. I don't choose to strive to be cis. I choose to strive to be the best Karleigh Webb that God will let me be. And I know I'm sitting around 3 atheists saying that.
I don't think any one of the four of us sitting here think all straight people are against trans people. I just, I think the generalization that's out there, that is the same kind of generalization that all trans people are the same. It's just like people don't fit in neat little boxes. I'm a complex human being, right? I'm not any one thing. I am trans. I'm also a sailor. I'm also a seamstress. I'm also an aunt, and I'm lots of things. I contain multitudes, and I dislike being dumped into any particular box, and I dislike people impugning that my attitude towards other people is that I'm doing the same thing. Of course, I don't think that all straight people dislike or are averse to trans people. If that were the case, I would not have a life. You know, I don't think that, you know, I don't think that that assertion's been made on this program and by anyone, either hosts or guests. And if it has, if someone's taken that impression somehow or another, you're mistaken. Just be aware, you are mistaken.
I tell you, the idea to stand and fight is valiant, and I appreciate anybody doing that. I understand that not everybody can, though, so don't feel like the transpositions is telling you that there's not that if there's something wrong with you if you're scared and you're hiding, if you're scared and you run, because things are terrifying.
If you're not scared, you're a fool. That's not. Don't get the idea. Don't get the wrong idea. If you're not scared, you're a fool. Hell yeah, we're scared. Hell, I'm scared.
We're all scared.
I'm not scared of the fog, but boy, is it foggy! Holy crow!
No, I am absolutely terrified at where we're going right now. Of where we're at where we're going as a country, and not just because of trans issues, but because of issues across the board. We have a lot of people. We have a lot of people in this country right now who are perfectly happy.
Did you all see this? What I have up here, the FTC host anti-trans workshop.
Right? No partisanship here.
Yeah. This is and it's mostly about like puberty blockers and stuff as we look through it. Science was beside the point.
Of course.
Yeah. And they call it hold on, where'd that go? A government sponsored disinformation campaign. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And this is the direction that they're wanting to take the entire country, right? Science was beside the point, exactly. But they describe gender affirming care as a modern snake oil salesman. That's like modern healthcare.
Well, yeah, and well, it's the same kind of thing. It's like vaccines don't cure people. It's just anti-science. It's anti-human. It's anti-progress. It's bad. And this is what we were trying to tell you. Like, this is bad, and it's going to get really bad.
This is what we started this channel to tell you.
Yeah.
It's so wild to me that they go on and on. Like it says in this paragraph here, they recounted emotionally charged stories. It's always emotional. It's always anecdotal from individuals who regret transitioning. But they never talk about the people in the other position who were forced to transition into the wrong adulthood and then have to go through a huge process that's way more dangerous and way more expensive. The fuck? I have every sympathy for a person who goes through an extensive medical transition and then realizes it's not right. It's very, very rare, but I do have sympathy for those people. But you can detransition in the same way everyone else transitions. It's not the irreversibility. It just comes down to fertility, and that's all it is. It's panic about fertility. We need more white babies or the brown people will overtake us. Oh God. It's just fertility.
So anecdotes is all they have, because the actual regret rates when you look into gender affirming care in both minors and adult is negligible. If any other medical intervention had that type of success rate, they'd be calling it a miracle cure, right?
Oh yeah. Do make the same stories about knee surgery. Bring people
Right.
on who tell about the irreversible damage to their lives because they regret their knee surgery. Let's do it. I guarantee you'll
back
have
surgery.
thousands more stories.
Yeah, but no, let's target trans people because, well, we're an easy target. All right, and the last thing I have here, this was just brought to me, by the way.
The
This
freshest.
is, yeah. Let's see. So here, we're gonna watch this. It should be pretty short. Let me see. There we go. I don't know if any of y'all saw this. Titan dropped it in the Discord
this
server.
is actually kind of an old story. It wasn't.
Oh, is
actually,
it?
yeah.
I didn't look at the date. 6 days ago.
Yeah. Well, Queer News Tonight. I'm sure they do fine work, but they're not on top of the news the way we are. They tend to be a week or two behind. So this happened around 2 weeks ago. If it's the same story, I presume it is because it's a Florida church but it was ICE rather than local PD. It's not super important. It does. Yeah. Details. Who needs details in a news story?
I just thought it was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Greg Shapiro. Let's core up faith. Florida LGBTQ church kicks police out of lot, charges them $10,000 for parking. The Allendale United Methodist Church in St. Petersburg is known for their pro-LGBTQ stance and drag queen sermons. On June 17th, Pastor Andy Oliver arrived at the...
Hell yeah, I love that. Look at the side of that building.
Mm-hmm.
Where's this church in Florida? Now, is it Allendale, Florida?
No, St. Pete's. The name of the church is Allendale.
Allendale Church, okay.
Church to find the parking lot full of Pinellas County Sheriff cars. When confronted, the officers stated they were staging for an operation. The pastor, suspecting they were there to assist ICE, asked them to leave. Afterwards, the church issued a bill to the sheriff's office for $10,000, stating it was for, quote, unauthorized use of private church parking lot beginning at 6 a.m., 13 vehicles occupying 17 parking spots, disruption to community access, operations, and congregational use of property, end quote. It also...
Now that's a parking ticket.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's great when you can give a parking ticket to the cops. That's really good. I like that. It's good.
Also mentions that, quote, continued use without coordination or consent may result in legal action or additional penalties, end quote. It also states that the money will be forwarded to legal services for immigrants. What do they say? Hallelujah? Is that what they say, those people?
Hallelujah.
As a longtime atheist, a story like this for Stewart's mom.
That's a good way of turning the tables over.
Right?
To get biblical about it, but hey, why not? I love it. I think that's great.
Right. Yeah.
I can see the church I delivered a sermon at to doing exactly that thing. Similarly decorated, by the way.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. So that's my stories for today. We got good news coming up still, which Ember has provided. And Ember, are you sticking around for the end of the show? Or are you bouncing?
I don't know what the hell is going on from minute to minute, but I finished my nails. I took the chat's advice and I went with purple. It doesn't look purpley because my camera's awful.
Yeah.
Black and the two maroons I could find. So it's
I've got a purple finger too, but it happens to be this one.
I paint my nails, but I also play guitar, so
and
I end up
it
like
hurt
this.
when I did that, by the way. I thought that it was painful when that happened, but it's not painful anymore.
Yeah. All right. So regardless, what do you got coming up in good news?
We've got Trans History now with illustrations, a new political action committee fighting back, which is great to see. And there's another thing. It slips my mind right at the moment. I spent too much time editing the damn thing, and now my brain's blocking it out.
All right. Well, we will get to it in just a moment, but let me bounce around and check and see. Steph, you got something tonight for your segment talking about your latest sailing exploits?
Yeah, I might brag a little, but
All right.
whatever.
Excellent. Yeah, Steph's having a good season. Steph's having a really good season.
Yeah, well, not the best, but it's another season, and mostly it's
Baby, every season you can participate.
It's really kind of actually it's really kind of good news. It's like good times, bad times. I've seen them all, and my dear, I'm still here, which I wouldn't have been if I hadn't transitioned.
All right, and we'll have that right after good news, and then we're going to wrap up the show with wrap up the segments with Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb bringing us some sports. What you got for us tonight?
It's a beautiful segment for start. It's a beautiful segment. It is a big segment for starters. Caster Semenya winning in the European Court of Human Rights. We're going to break that down and say exactly what does it mean and what will it mean for sports across the board. This decision has some far-reaching effects on some sports that are making some major changes right now. We're going to look into that. We're also going to look at the week that was. We're going to look at the FA's decision on transgender men, demeaning trans people in sport. It's not just for women anymore because they went after the guys too, and you won't believe how they did it. We will have that in sports. Plus, California to Trump, no deal. We'll have that. But tonight, a spotlight interview with Benny Westcott. Now, Benny Westcott was a production assistant at the Golf Channel, but they left there because they realized that I gotta be me. They started to transition after leaving there. They started their own creative firm, but golf is who they are. Golf is who she is. Golf is her life. And recently at the Capital Cup World Pride Tournament during World Pride in DC, she got back on the links in tournament play for the first time since she was in college. And she rocked the house. We sat down with her for an extensive interview to talk about what she did, how she did it, and how 18 holes has influenced her journey. And plus, I have some Karleigh commentary tonight. As you know, that on a couple of things. Obviously, on the human drama of athletic competition, a piece of that human drama I'll get to chronicle this weekend because this weekend my Connecticut Ambush go into the WFA Division III National Conference Championship game down in Richmond, Virginia this weekend. I won't get to play in it, unfortunately, because of a high ankle sprain suffered in our playoff game 2 weeks ago. So I'm gonna be out with an injury and wearing a walking boot, but instead of carrying a football and trying to get sacks, I'm gonna be carrying a camera and chronicling the first Connecticut team to get this far in a long time. That and more to come in sports.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's jump right into the good news.
Good news, everyone. Tonight, Trans History Illustrated. Bigots get bent, out of shape, a new pack claps back, and more. Good news starts right now. First up, an article from Trans-Media. Drawn to History, 10 Trans Trailblazers Who Changed the World. Now, you may recognize some of these faces from our own series, Trans People in History, but now they're illustrated, which could help spread their message to new audiences who just don't really have much interest in history, but might appreciate a comic book approach. And as a person who runs a Comic-Con, I can certainly appreciate that perspective. Now, this comes to us from Trans-Media that you may have seen floating around the interwebs from time to time. Let's dive in. 10 trans trailblazers throughout history, from the first to testify before Congress to Stonewall. Throughout history, trans individuals have made remarkable contributions to society while facing immense challenges and discrimination. You can say that again. These 10 trailblazers broke barriers, challenged norms, and paved the way for future generations to come. Their stories deserve recognition not just during Pride Month, but as an integral part of our shared human history. Efforts to erase stories like these through book bans, curriculum censorship, and anti-trans legislation may try to silence the past, but they will never silence us. First up, Frances Thompson, 1840-ish to 1876. Frances was the first trans person to testify before Congress. She was born into slavery in 1840, and after the Civil War, lived as a woman in Memphis, Tennessee, where she worked as a seamstress and domestic laborer. Thompson was also one of the first African-American women to speak out about sexual assault by white men, testifying about violence during Reconstruction. Her testimony helped document the systematic violence against newly freed Black Americans, making her a pioneer in both civil rights and trans history. Thompson's intersectional identity as a Black transgender woman placed her at the crossroads of multiple forms of oppression, yet she used her voice to advocate for justice and human dignity. You can learn more about her in our segment, Trans People in History, because we do go into greater depth about that. And her story is quite fascinating. Dr. Alan Hart, 1890 to 1962. That's a pretty cool image of him, I must say. You may recall from our history segment on him that he pioneered the use of x-rays to help treat tuberculosis. So an x-ray of a person's lung area, super fitting for him. Dr. Alan Hart was a groundbreaking physician, radiologist, and novelist who became one of the first trans men to undergo gender-affirming surgery in the United States. Which is true. He's, as far as we can tell, the first to undergo gender-affirming surgery as a man. But it gets complicated. It gets complicated. Born in Kansas, Hart struggled with his gender identity from childhood. Point of order, he did not. He understood his gender identity. He struggled with people in society telling him he was someone other than who he knew himself to be, like many of us. But details. He found no medical understanding or support. In 1917, he underwent a hysterectomy performed by Dr. J. Allen Gilbert in Portland, Oregon, a revolutionary procedure for its time. Hart went on to earn his medical degree and become a prominent tuberculosis researcher, helping develop mobile X-ray screening programs that saved countless lives. His dual legacy as both a medical pioneer and transgender trailblazer paved the way for future generations and gender nonconforming medical professionals. Hart published several novels and maintained a successful medical practice while living openly as a man, proving that transgender people could lead fulfilling, productive lives that literally save thousands upon thousands of lives. But details. Carolyn Cossey, born 1954, still alive. She is well known as an actress, model, known for her beauty, you might say. Carolyn Cossie, also known as Tula, appeared in the 1981 James Bond film For Your Eyes Only as an extra. When she was outed as a transgender person by the tabloid News of the World in 1981, it marked a pivotal moment in trans visibility. Rather than retreating from public life, Cossie chose to fight back with dignity and openness. She became the first transgender model to appear in Playboy magazine, using her platform to educate the public about transgender experiences. Cossie wrote her autobiography, My Story, becoming one of the first trans women to tell her story in her own words. Her legal battles for recognition and marriage rights helped establish important precedents for transgender civil rights. Throughout decades of public scrutiny, Cossie maintains her grace and is still an advocate for transgender acceptance and understanding. And you can learn more about her in our Trans People in History series. Wewa, 1849 through 1896. Wewa was born around 1849 in New Mexico as a member of the Zuni people. In Zuni culture, Wewa was recognized as Ilhamana, a traditional third-gender role combining both masculine and feminine qualities. Standing over 6 feet tall, Wewa was renowned for pottery, weaving, and other traditional crafts. During a visit to Washington, D.C. in 1886, Wewa met President Grover Cleveland and was generally mistaken for a cisgender woman. Wewa served as a cultural ambassador, participating in anthropological studies and helping preserve Zuni traditions during a time of intense cultural pressure from the U.S. government. One anthropologist described Wewa as the strongest character and most intelligent of the Zuni tribe. Wewa's life demonstrates how many indigenous cultures traditionally recognized and honored gender diversity long before modern Western concepts of transgender identity emerged. Lucy Hicks Anderson, 1886 through 1954. Born in Waddy, Kentucky in 1886, Lucy Hicks Anderson insisted on wearing dresses to school from childhood. When her concerned mother took her to a doctor, he suggested allowing the child to live as female. Anderson moved to California, where she built a successful life as a businesswoman and socialite. She married twice, first to Clarence Hicks in 1920 and later to Reuben Anderson in 1944. Her legal battles over her marriages brought national attention to transgender rights decades before the modern movement. When prosecuted for perjury regarding her legal sex, she was sentenced to probation and forced to wear masculine clothing. Anderson's courage in living authentically and fighting for legal recognition established important precedents for transgender civil rights. The Handbook of LGBT Elders calls Anderson, quote, one of the earliest documented cases of an African-American transgender person. Michael Dillon, 1915 through 1962. Another medical pioneer, Michael Dillon was a British doctor, author, Buddhist monk, and the first known transgender man to undergo phalloplasty. Born into an aristocratic family, Dillon struggled with his identity from childhood. Once again, it was the other people push it, whatever. You will all understand. We don't actually struggle with our gender identity. We know who we are. It's the interface between who we are and who society keeps trying to tell us to be. It's everyone else who is confused because there's this difficulty in just listening to people when they tell you who they are. We're working on it, folks. But even a trans media company still struggles with this language, so please don't feel bad if you get confused. The language is intended to confuse, and we're trying to clarify it, to cut through the nonsense coming from outside. Anyhow, Dillon later wrote about his despair at being perceived as female. He began hormone therapy in the 1940s and underwent pioneering gender-affirming surgeries with plastic surgeon Harold Gillies. Dillon earned his medical degree from Trinity College Dublin and later helped perform Britain's first male-to-female surgery on Roberta Cowell in 1951. His book, Self, A Study in Ethics and Endocrinology, was one of the first academic works on transgender identity. Later in life, Dillon became a Buddhist monk in India, finding spiritual peace after his medical and social transition. His courage in pursuing both medical transitions and professional success opened doors for future generations of transgender men. Marsha P. Johnson, 1945 to 1992. As you know, Marsha P. Johnson is one of my favorite figures in trans history, and the fact that she put flowers in her hair every chance she got, her iconic look, is the inspiration for why I have flowers on so many of my hats. She's just delightful. Marsha P. Johnson was a central figure in the 1969 Stonewall Uprising that launched the modern LGBTQ+ rights movement. Born in New Jersey, Johnson moved to New York City as a teenager and became a prominent figure in Greenwich Village's gay community. Known for her colorful personality, elaborate outfits, and flowers in her hair, Johnson was a drag performer and sex worker who looked out for vulnerable GSM youth. On the night of June 28, 1969, Johnson was among those who fought back against police harassment at the Stonewall Inn. She co-founded the Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, STAR, with Sylvia Rivera, providing housing and support for homeless LGBTQ+ youth. Johnson's activism extended beyond Stonewall as she participated in AIDS activism with ACT UP and continued advocating for marginalized community members until her death in 1992. Her legacy reminds us that trans women of color have always been at the forefront of the entire LGBTQ+ liberation movement. Renee Richards, born 1934. Dr. Renee Richards broke barriers in both medicine and professional sports. Before her transition, she was a successful ophthalmologist and amateur tennis player. After transitioning in the mid-1970s, Richards faced discrimination when she attempted to compete in women's professional tennis tournaments. The United States Tennis Association initially barred her from competition, leading to a landmark 1977 court case that ruled in her favor. To be precise, the court ruled that since Renee had changed her sex surgically, medically, hormonally, she was not just a woman, but legally a female. And that precedent is still on the books for reference. Richards' legal victory established an important precedent for transgender athletes' participation in sports. She competed in the women's professional tennis circuit and later coached Martina Navratilova to 2 Wimbledon titles. Beyond sports, Richards continued practicing medicine and wrote her autobiography, Second Serve, bringing transgender experiences to mainstream audiences. Her courage in fighting for equal treatment in professional sports opened doors for future transgender athletes while demonstrating that transgender people could excel in any field. And often do, because we tend to be very driven individuals, as evidenced by the fact we continue to still be alive. Christine Jorgensen. You may be familiar with this name, 1926 to 1989. Christine Jorgensen became internationally famous in 1952 when she traveled to Denmark for gender-affirming surgery, making headlines as one of the first Americans to undergo such procedures. Born a dead name in the Bronx, she translash. You do some good work. Your terminology is a little bit outdated here and there. You use the bigots language here and there. But you really should know better than to dead name a person, even if that person was public about their dead name at one point. it's still not fucking cool. My goodness. She served in the U.S. Army before seeking medical treatment in Europe. The New York Daily News broke her story with the headline, "Ex-GI becomes blonde beauty," thrusting her into the spotlight. Rather than hiding from publicity, Jorgensen embraced her role as an educator and spokesperson. She toured extensively, giving lectures about transgender experiences to packed auditoriums across America. Jorgensen appeared on television shows, wrote her autobiography, and worked as a nightclub performer. Her grace under intense media scrutiny and her willingness to educate the public helped humanize transgender people for mainstream America. Jorgensen's courage in living openly during an extremely hostile time period paved the way for greater transgender visibility and acceptance. And there's an interesting note about this, because while we have covered Christine Jorgensen before and the fact that she won Woman of the Year back in the 1950s, and here we have all these extreme regressives who say they want to go back to the 50s, but Christine was respected in the 50s. So which part of the 50s do they want to go back to? I think you know the answer, but they won't say it. Last on this list, Coccinelle, which is French for ladybug. She lived from 1931 through 2006, and Coccinelle became Europe's first widely known transgender celebrity. Well, one of. We have featured a few who were very big much earlier, but details. She rose to fame in the 1950s as a cabaret performer in Paris's Le Carrousel nightclub, captivating audiences with her beauty, talent, and charisma. Coccinelle underwent gender-affirming surgery in Casablanca in 1958, making headlines across Europe. Her success in entertainment challenged stereotypes about transgender people and proved we could achieve mainstream acceptance. She appeared in films, recorded albums, and maintained a successful performing career for decades. In 1960, she legally married journalist Francis Bonnet in a ceremony that attracted international media attention, making her one of the first trans women to achieve legal marriage recognition in Europe. If you'd like to learn more about these people and other individuals beyond what's been featured on this channel, there are references and resources available in the Transpositions Discord. Next up, Dove advertisement featuring a trans woman using intensive repair conditioner sends bigots spiraling. This is from Pink News. So we've got this commercial, and there's a trans woman in the commercial. It's a 6-second commercial. But how dare trans women have hair? You're erasing women by having hair. As a woman, because you're a woman who also has hair. Am I understanding this outrage correctly? Right-wingers are up in arms over a hair care advert that featured a trans woman. 1 Million Moms, the hate group with like one mom in a basement, which is now a division of the American Family Foundation Incorporated, claims to fight against indecency. Like being a Republican publicly? Oh, no. You mean people existing in public as themselves. You know, like gay people and brown people. Indecency, you know. Has accused personal care brand Dove of, quote, pushing a sinful lifestyle onto viewers and glamorizing the transgender lifestyle choice. 1 Million Moms. You know, all three of you, I suppose, now that you're a corporate subsidy, we don't need a brand to glamorize us. We're already pretty fucking glamorous. Thanks for noticing, though. The 6-second advert, which featured the tagline, "The Dove You Love, Reimagine," showed the trans model playing with her hair to highlight the before and after effects of using Dove's intensive repair products. A spokesperson for 1 Million Moms urged, quote, Dove to cancel woke commercials immediately, misgendered the model, and criticized the company for portraying perverted behavior. Folks, is it perverted to have hair? I mean, we're mammals. Most of us just kind of have hair. It's just, okay. They describe the inclusion of trans women in adverts as extremely dangerous. We're dangerous for existing. We're dangerous for having hair. We're dangerous for wanting to take care of our hair that we naturally have. It sounds like they just hate women. I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading what they plainly wrote on the page with their own words. You know. Right-wing social media account Libs of TikTok, writing on Twitter, jumped on the bandwagon to say this is a real commercial by Dove, another woke company trying to erase women, by featuring a woman in an ad. Okay, Chaya. Comments under the post, which has been viewed more than 720,000 times, include one person saying, time to boycott Dove, they clearly hate women. Yes, making products for women because they hate women. I mean, you can make an argument that being a capitalistic organization trying to sell products to women by exploiting insecurities about the beauty standards that they themselves helped enact could be taken to mean they hate women. But I don't think that's quite what they mean here. Perhaps. And then the bigots flip out and go nuts. Another wrote, wow, now I have to get rid of my lovely Dove soap for non-woke product. How do you find non-woke soap? I mean, is it just like pig shit? Do you just go out to the farm, enter the barn, move the feeding trough, and just grab a big old turd of pig shit and just wash your face with that? Because it's the closest you can get to a non-woke product. Go for it. Knock yourselves out. It'll be fun. Dove also used a trans model for a Mother's Day commercial in 2017 and in the UK in 2021. Then Conservative MP Jackie Doyle-Price vowed to never buy their chocolate again, or their brand again, after the company voiced support for trans Olympic trailblazer Laurel Hubbard. Other brands have also faced right-wing wrath in the US. Influencer Dylan Mulvaney faced a wave of abuse after she collaborated with Bud Light, and the beer brand faced threats of a boycott, which was pretty hilarious if you recall, but that's old news at this point. With some people seen smashing bottles on supermarket shelves, musician Kid Rock even made a video of himself shooting cans, which was pretty hilarious. So they're all bent out of shape over another commercial, and we love to see it because A, it's amusing as hell, and B, they're telling on themselves. They're running red flags up their flagpole as hard as they can so everyone can see exactly what kind of person they are. And most of all, they bring more attention to these brands that are featuring diverse people, showing that other kinds of people exist. If the 1 million moms and people had their way, there would never be women on television at all. You might see an ankle. You'd have to sell soap and hair conditioner and stuff by featuring men, I suppose, because anything else is perversion and indecent. Like, where is the line, and how is it not arbitrary? Or can people exist in this free country? You tell me. 1 million moms. Incorporated. Next up, from The Advocate, a new trans rights political action committee looks to rebuild the political playbook with these high-profile endorsements. With trans rights under siege, a new political action committee is stepping up to support lawmakers who refuse to back down. The Christopher Street Project, a new political group focusing on building support for trans rights within the Democratic Party, has announced its first slate of congressional endorsements as it moves to equip candidates with political and messaging strategies ahead of the 2026 midterms and the 2028 presidential election. Named after the New York City street where the 1969 Stonewall Uprising began, and founded in the wake of the 2024 election cycle that saw Republicans spend more than $200 million attacking transgender Americans, the Christopher Street Project is endorsing 16 Democratic lawmakers. The slate includes prominent GSM members, parents of trans children, relatives of transgender people, and high-profile allies such as Representatives Sarah McBride, Dyla Ramirez, Sarah Jacobs, Dina Titus, Catherine Clark, Maxwell Alejandro Frost, Val Hoyle, Mark Takano, Becca Balint, Julie Johnson, Mark Pocan, Pramila Jayapal, Ayanna Presley, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Jamie Raskin, and Melanie Stansbury. Quote, "Our mission is to build support for the trans community within the Democratic Party and take back the party as one that values people over power," Tyler Hack, the group's 20-year-old founder, told The Advocate in an exclusive interview. Quote, "We understand we need to build the playbook for how we win on trans issues over the next decade." Hack, who is a trans non-binary person using they-them pronouns, said the Christopher Street Project was born from frustration after the 2024 elections when some Democrats began to distance themselves from trans issues, fearing electoral backlash. Hack noted that since November, they had met with lawmakers who were at a loss for how to counter Republican attacks effectively. Here's a tip, Democrats. You say no. You just say no. You look at the ad, you look it right in the face, you identify, explicitly call out the messaging that they're communicating, and then you say no. We reject that because we as a party believe that all humans deserve human rights, period. It's super easy, barely an inconvenience. But do go on. Quote, "For all the thousands of political action committees in Washington, there wasn't one dedicated specifically to trans people," Hack said. "It was really important for us to build up that playbook in a time when Democratic leaders were doing what they thought was right." Were they? But were not always given guidance about how to go about that. Hack's vision is clear. Democrats must learn how to respond to Republican attacks and misinformation without abandoning core values. Or people. In 2024, Hack said, the party failed by attempting to deflect or move past attacks rather than confronting them head on. What did I just say? Republicans, particularly the Trump campaign, bombarded Vice President Kamala Harris for her support of the trans community, which was pretty lukewarm, but whatever. In several attack ads, it claimed, Kamala Harris is for they, them. Donald Trump is coming for you, is for you. Is definitely not coming for your children either. No, for you. Unless you're brown, or a woman, or a Democrat, or a veteran, or you know what? Let's just go on. After the Trump campaign bashed Harris for having expressed support for providing essential gender-affirming care to people in federal custody, as required to do by law, Republicans painted her views as extreme. It seems complying with the law is an extreme view for the modern Republican Party. Weird. Ads attacked her for supporting taxpayer-funded transgender surgeries for prisoners, even as Trump initiated that policy during his first administration. However, Democrats did not fight back and dismissed the line of attack. Quote, "We never, as a political party or as candidates, won an argument by simply saying, let's move on to the next question. That's just not how the American electorate thinks, Hack said. People don't respond to that because it's clear the leaders are being evasive. Instead, Hack believes Democrats must call out the realities behind Republican proposals. They point to the so-called Protecting Women and Girls in Sports Act, which isn't an act, it's an executive order, but details in law can sometimes be important, but details. Warning it would also lead to invasive policies like genital inspections for girls as young as 4 years old. Hack added, there's no swing voter who wants genital inspections for girls as young as 4. No, not a swing voter. Just the ones with the red hats on. Hack argued that the Republican focus on transgender athletes is both a distraction and a moral failing, designed to exploit a tiny population for political gain. Literally how scapegoating works. That's what it is, that's what it's for. And when Republicans can play up a moral panic, they tend to do better in elections. See the Reagan era for examples. Quote, trans female athletes in the NCAA, we're talking about fewer than 10 people, Hack said. It's really closer to 5. These are actual human beings, and they have real consequences when they become political targets. Despite GOP attacks, Hack said Democrats can win if they frame trans rights as part of a broader fight against government overreach and cruelty. Become the party of small government, as they kind of always have been. Democrats have always kind of sucked at countering Republican lies. Quote, there's no way to discriminate against transgender Americans without a gross government overreach on all people, Hack said. We need to reach people where they're at, emphasize what these bills actually do. Hack stressed that the Christopher Street Project's goal isn't to demand that every candidate make trans rights their top issue in competitive districts. Though maybe they should. No. Quote, most people are concerned about the cost of living, about their health care, Hack said. But when millions of dollars are attacking you need to have a response. You can't just immediately pivot because the electorate doesn't respond to that. The lawmakers on the Christopher Street Project's initial slate, Hack said, have consistently shown up for the trans community even when it wasn't politically convenient. Quote, these are people who have been standing up for the trans community time and time again, regardless of when it's popular or when pundits are telling them to stop speaking about it, Hack said. They show up in their districts and do the work. He pointed to Titus of Nevada as an example of a lawmaker who's defended trans rights in a competitive district and successfully countered Republican narratives. Quote, she's been unwavering in her support of the transgender community, Hack said. She's been a longtime supporter of the Trans Bill of Rights and is showing what it looks like to be a Democratic member who stands up for trans people and wins in the tough races. If you enjoy content like this, be sure to subscribe. TransPositions Weekly is the first and only weekly trans news show in the universe, and we need your help to keep this show going. Contribute at patreon.com/TheTransPositions and spread the word all over social media to let people know we're here, and tell us what stories matter to you by joining the community on Discord. Discord, of course, is where the memes live, and our meme of the week was posted by Bre. And if you want to join our polycule of trans girls and friends, allies, folks who are curious, well, join the Discord. Also, if you have good news concerning trans people you'd like to see reported on, you can tell us about that in the Discord as well. For the TransPositions, I've been Ember Belrad.
Just Tuesday, the boat in trouble. This time, Nomura was able to wriggle off the hook with 1:30 to go, and now they hold a favored position. Not gonna have it. Game here is to get up to full speed. Kayard makes his move first, and he'll be going faster when the gun goes off. Go down below the line. 20. 17. 14. 13. 4, 3, 2, 1, gun. Another clean start and another good job by Dellenbaugh.
Hi. Hi there. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that little intro has some personal meaning to me. Because in 1992, I was in San Diego observing the defenders' trials with America Cubed going up against Stars and Stripes, America Cubed being Bill Koch syndicate, and Stars and Stripes being Dennis Conner's syndicate, led by a fellow by the name of John Marshall. In 1992, I was a sailmaker, kind of still am. And our little Maine hideaway company built some experimental sails for the America Cube Syndicate. And as a matter of fact, my business partner at the time ran the sail loft in San Diego in 1992 in the build-up to the Cup. That was the final match that America Cube won. So makes me smile every time I hear those names and see that scene and see the crafty way that Dellenbaugh basically made Kayard go off to the wrong side of the course and not make it back. Now, I've been lucky and very privileged. I've been lucky at having the skills to sew, to learn how to sew sails. But the thing is, in 1992, I was thrilled with that, but I wasn't particularly thrilled with my life. And 10 years later, in 2002, in November, that was February 1992, and 10 years later in November of 2002, I was on a surgeon's table in Neenah, Wisconsin, making a fairly substantial change. There were a few things in between there. But through it all, I was just a person. I was just Stephanie. I had to negotiate that whole process. You know, I picked 1992 as one particular place, but I could easily have picked 1955. because I'd had to negotiate a reconciliation of who I was to who I was expected to be very, very early in my life. I think Ember touched on that a little bit. But through it all, I just want to get back to the thing. Through it all of what was going on was me. This is one aspect, one really difficult aspect of being me that my friends, my family, my business associates, etc., and I had to reckon with. Fortunately, at the time, the government didn't really give a shit. You know? It's kind of like you do you, boo used to be a thing. Not anymore. Not when my being who I am can be blown up into being a part of the them, which for a someone who hadn't been part of a marginalized community prior to, aside from the fact that marginalized among family and friends, like people not being able to understand who I really was, and basically being put into a different box than was the right one for me. Not that big a deal. But today, it's a different world because my life, our lives are being, glamorized or and falsified. Um, so the thing is that in 2002, 10 years later, after a process of a whole bunch of negotiations, I finally was able to be me fully, the way I wanted to be me. And I was convinced that I would never sail again, that I would never have opportunities in the work that I'd done my entire life, that I would have to change things quite radically. And fortunately, there was a period of time where, yes, I did stay away from that. My my business partner and I amicably said, "Hey, this is too much for our customers. We need to back off, and go our separate ways." But I was fortunate enough to have people who recognized my talents otherwise, and I just continued. I continued to be me. 3 years later, well, 2 years later, people started asking me, "Hey, could you sail with us?" And I said, "Are you sure?" because that's how things go. And they said yes, and there was no reference to the trans part of me. It's like, you can do this. And we want you to do this with us. And so 3 years later, in 2005, I sailed on this boat. Yes, it's Mr. Hankey. The boat's a piece of shit. And the owner is an allergist. And if you look closely here, I think it's like we won the weekend series up here. We also won the weeknight series and a bunch of other stuff. I still sail on that boat. We've been to 3 world championships. We finished in the top 10 once. We won our local season championship last year, and just last night we won yet another night of sailing. And I'm still working. I went through a very rough patch. Particularly around when this stuff started to ramp up. I went through a very rough patch. But I think everybody goes through rough patches. And everybody struggles with the rough patches they have to go through. And everybody gets a little bit self-pitying and a little bit, eh. And I did, but that's human. Because we're human. So last night we won another sailboat race. And I'm still sailing with my friends. And even with that business partner that I parted ways with, I'm still here. I want all my trans sisters, brothers, siblings to be here. I want them to have 28 years. And that's why I speak. That's why I do this. I want people to understand we're just people. That's it. I'm Stephanie Helms, and I'm still here.
Oh, sorry, I had myself off camera. Yeah. All right, there's the whole team.
Woot woot.
Yeah, the team is
there we are.
here.
How we
Yay,
how we
team.
doing? Thank you so much for those pieces, Ember, Stephanie. Really appreciate the work you put into bringing us, a little bit of joy every week, talking about the trans experience, well, both personal and on a broader scope. So thank you so much.
I don't think
All
I've ever
right.
really. I don't think I've ever really dove into that quite as deeply there. But
Yeah. All right, Karleigh, is this our
1 second. Yay.
Oh, this is, I don't think that's it. Hold on.
What?
There's another Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb in here, but I don't think it's
It's
There
the
shouldn't
impasta. Sus.
There shouldn't be.
my God, what's going on here?
that happened to
Live
Steph a
radio,
minute
folks.
ago too. So no
I
no
know,
worries
right?
there. Weird stuff though.
Is Chris Mallard in the chat? Did he bring tech demons?
Gremlins. Bringing them
I don't know,
gremlins
but
up
he's
in
a
here.
quack.
Screw it.
Yeah, he's named after the Darkwing Duck character, I believe.
Yep, Drake Mallard. In fact,
Drake
you'll notice
Mallard.
on the video of the ARC protest, he just posted a clean copy from the actual recording on the camera rather than the live stream. He's wearing a Darkwing Duck shirt. Very subtle. Very subtle.
Subtlety.
Again, he's a quack. What do you want?
How was the ARC protest, by the way? I haven't got to really talk to you since that.
Overall, really good. There's so many stories. I cover most of it in the video I just released about my experience on the ARC protest. I missed a bunch of it because I had to leave immediately after speaking because I had to be in court the next day. So I had to drive all the way back to New York. I couldn't even, it's an 11-hour drive, but no, that wasn't challenge mode enough. I got all the way to Cincinnati and then I started getting phone calls. I'd given a person a ride to the protest and that person had forgotten their bag that had their stuff, including their passport. So I had to go back. So it became a 13-hour drive.
Oh no.
So yeah,
That's rough.
it's much oof, but even though I'm envious of all the other people who got to hang out with each other for a while in the, murderous sun is a deadly laser heat of Kentucky, but still, it was a pretty cool experience overall. And yeah, it was nice to see
That's the only
for
thing
the
I've heard
time.
anybody complain about at all when they're complaining was just about the heat. And then Joe can be like, God damn it, Jackie, I can't control the weather.
It's a deep state.
Nobody
Something.
can control the weather.
That's not what Marjorie Taylor Greene said.
If only we banned the chemtrails.
They did in Florida, in Georgia, and I believe in Texas. Chemtrails are now, the fictional problem of chemtrails are now banned.
It
was Louisiana, not Texas. It was Louisiana,
not enough to
Texas.
just make up problems about people. Now we're just making up problems. We're probably going to ban Martians taking up residency on the moon next.
Right?
To go along with the theme of my last little thing is we can't change the wind, but we can adjust our sails.
There you go. Insightful.
It's always good to know. No, it's always good to know you can always make adjustments because sometimes you need to.
Yeah. I've had to make a lot of adjustments lately, so I can vouch for that.
Same.
Not just adjusting my pigtails either. Remember when we got
pigtails are very, very nice.
Remember when you got like a whole bunch of crap for wearing pigtails that one day?
Yes, I do. Come on.
It's like,
there we go. It's hair. You're having hair. How dare you have hair in public?
How do I relate? I don't know. Are we getting sports tonight or what? Are we rendering stuff or what's going on?
Karleigh's getting things kicking.
We're just gonna
Cool. Awesome.
No, we're just gonna have to do this. I can always.
live radio, folks. Here we are.
Are we
Chair
radio
dancing.
now? We're a podcast.
Yeah. Is
We
Patty
are a
still here? We're
podcast.
chair dancing.
We're ready to fire
Maybe-
when you're
maybe we
ready to
should build
We're
fire.
Live
basically here to
podcast.
replace Joe Rogan.
We're running
Actually,
it
we're
right
here to
from the,
replace
we're running it from the room.
We're here to
All
replace we're here to replace Brianna Wu's Dollcast. That's what we're here for. Are you gonna say the line,
is that it?
Karleigh?
Well,
Well, actually, I'm going to be the one kicking it tonight.
awesome. Kick it, Karleigh.
Karleigh, kick it.
Caster Semenya's day in court, the decision of the European Court of Human Rights, and what it will mean for her and for international elite sport. England's FA tells transgender men if you want to play next season, you have to say you're a woman. That's part of their new trans policy. California to Trump, no deal. The nation's most populous state will continue to allow trans girls to participate in sports. We'll meet a golf nut who found her way back to the links while she was also finding herself. And Karleigh commentary tonight on the human drama of athletic competition. Hello again, everybody. This is Transposition Sports. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb. Breaking news to start tonight. The European Court of Human Rights Grand Chamber upheld a previous decision saying that South African Olympic champion Caster Semenya was denied her right to a fair trial in previous actions within the Swiss Supreme Court, where she lost an appeal in 2020. The decision of the panel of 17 judges rendered Thursday voted 15-2 that the Swiss Supreme Court violated the two-time Olympic champion's human rights under Article 6, Section 1 of the European Convention on Human Rights.
Aux yeux de la Cour, les particularités de l'arbitrage sportif auquel la requérante était soumise, qui impliquait la compétence obligatoire et exclusive du tribunal arbitral du sport, exigeait que la rigueur du contrôle juridictionnel ensuite opéré par la seule juridiction ayant compétence pour contrôler les sentences arbitrales, soit le tribunal fédéral suisse, dans cette affaire, soit en rapport avec l'importance des droits individuels en jeu. Or, en l'espèce, la Cour a constaté que l'examen de la cause de la requérante par le tribunal fédéral n'avait pas satisfait à cette exigence de rigueur particulière requise dans les circonstances de l'espèce.
Today's decision could impact a number of athletes in her own sport and have ripple effects across international elite sports as a whole. Amateur boxing is one sport that could be impacted immediately due to the controversy surrounding Algerian Olympic gold medalist Imani Khalif and Taiwanese Olympic champion Lin Yuting. World Boxing, the newly formed governing body, ordered Khalif to submit to sex testing in May before she's allowed to compete, with the World Championships coming up in September. This also comes at a time when FIFA is looking at their new policies, and the IOC and their new president, Kirsty Coventry, who in the past has deferred to the governing bodies, are now looking to take a more active role in making these policies in regards to trans participation and differences in sexual development. Elsewhere, on June 1st, the English Football Association revised transgender inclusion policy came into effect. Now, most of the attention surround the elimination of transgender women and girls, conforming to the ruling of the UK Supreme Court back on April 16th. But over the weekend, a revision to the regulations confirmed that transgender men in the sport will face a restriction that most, if not all, would find demeaning. For trans men to play in men's competition for the upcoming 2025-2026 season, prospective players will have to sign a declaration stating, quote, "I am a biological female whose gender identity is male or non-binary," and further sign on to an understanding that there are physiological differences between adult biological females and adult biological males. As a result, adult biological females have a greater risk of injury when playing against adult biological males than when playing against adult biological females. Now, One trans man in particular, Arthur Weber, the blogger and author, was also captain of Truck United FC's historic first all-trans masculine team in the first known match of against its kind against an all cisgender male side back in 2023, had this to say in a blistering column for Trans Voices. Weber criticized the FA for what he claimed would prevent every trans man from participating. He called it an essential de facto ban. He said, quote, "I actually spoke to trans men and trans masculine people who play football with cis men. Every single one said they disagree with the way the declaration was worded. This document is transphobic to its very core. It is abundantly obvious that the FA did not consult any trans men on the language change, or we would have told them where to stick it. As a trans man who exudes football from his every pore, I am utterly repulsed that the FA are behaving this way. They should have changed their tagline from for all to for cisgender people only." The FA has no official count on the number of trans men who are registered as players. Officials for the governing body have made no further official statements on the revisions, but have previously stated that they're starting to look at sanctioning mixed gender leagues for the 2026-2027 season. Here in the States, the California Department of Education and the California Interscholastic Federation said Monday that the current Trump administration, that they will defy the current Trump administration executive order, and the state will continue to allow trans women and girls to compete in female sports at the scholastic and intercollegiate level. The U.S. Department of Education and the Federal Office for Civil Rights allege the California state governing body, the CIF, violated Title IX with their policy and said the state had 10 days to comply with an order to ban trans girls. That was on June 27th. Well, on July 7th, they were, after being told that the terms of the order would be similar to the University of Pennsylvania, California DOE's General Counsel, Len Garfunkel, was completely defiant. He sent a strongly worded letter back to the U.S. DOE, essentially saying what the governor of Maine said: "We disagree. We'll see you in court." Now, California has recently been in the news in part because of A.B. Hernandez, the junior jump specialist from Jurupa High School, who won 2 state championships and finished second in a different event at the recent CIF High School Championships, and drew the ire of President Trump and U.S. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon, and of course the professional transphobes from
Parents Against Women's Sports, because we don't really care about women's sports. We're here for the transphobia.
Was at the center of a lot of this controversy, and in part of the reason why we're here right now. California is stressing that the current policies of the CIF are in line with California's human rights laws. In response to California's decision, the Trump administration has filed a formal lawsuit against the California Department of Education and the CIF. Now, one wrinkle to this is what's coming in October. The United States Supreme Court will be looking at this issue under petitions from the states of Idaho and West Virginia, who have both passed the so-called Save Women's Sports Act. They expect a decision on those Supreme Court cases to come up around this time next year. When we return to Transposition Sports, we have a golf nut named Benny Westcott. She says golf is her being. Golf is her jam. And she joins us to talk about how golf is factored in to her journey. And we look at the human side of all these recent stories and what Caster Semenya says about all of us. This is Transposition Sports. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb. More on that, but we're going to ride into the break celebrating my favorite team. Connecticut Ambush playoffs this weekend. Go black, go orange. Let's do this thing.
I interrupt Transposition Sports because I'm cute and I can. And for this message from the angry gay grandpa. You don't pay me enough for this, Karleigh.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
Dad?
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking. If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress.
It's a skirt, Dad.
Skirt? I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait. Are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. This is me not losing you.
Love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Welcome back to Transposition Sports. I'm your host, Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb, and this week, spotlight interview, and you're going to enjoy this one. I have two rules about transition and playing a sport. Rule number one is you transition to live, not to hide. And number two, if you play, regardless of what people tell you, regardless of what anyone says, keep playing because it probably means more now. In the case of our guest tonight, it meant a lot more. Now, Benny Westcott, when they're not handling production at Golf Channel and NBC Sports or running their own venture, Golf Nut Studios, this is a woman who likes her some golf. And I mean, loves to swing, and it shows. And most recently at World Pride in Washington, D.C., she showed out. And I mean showed out. And her story happened to reach the sports desk at Outsports, and did a little bit more digging and found out she really showed out. And want to know more? We brought her on tonight. Benny Westcott, welcome to Transposition Sports. How you doing?
I am doing okay. Thank you very much for having me, Karleigh. It's a pleasure to be here. You're beautiful, and I have not listened to your media or your content, but I will now. And thank you for everything that you do. It's God's work, so you're doing great.
I'm trying, and I'm flattered. Thank you. Now, how much do you love golf?
It's literally my life, so a bit. I've been playing since I was 6, so for 22 years. And like when I came out and transitioned, I took a step back from working in the industry, but like I'm thinking about going back in. I just can't stop playing. It's literally like a part of me. It's in my blood too. So it's something that I just can't get away from. And it's like therapy. So yeah, to say the least, it's my life.
Take me through your round at World Pride. You shot a 74. Yes. From what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of rocking the house. Take me
Thanks.
through that round.
For me, it was rocking the house because a couple of days before I had driven down 8 hours and I hadn't played too much golf. So to jump into a competitive round and shoot that low, like I wasn't expecting to do anything crazy. I just like got in the zone. I walked rather than take a cart. So I was more in like the fluid routine of how I normally play. I was like, okay, I really want to do well. I wanted to come in at least top 10. I ended up coming in 3rd overall, which was very special. And yeah, it was very wet that week. I mean, the East Potomac golf course is in between 2 rivers, and you can see the Washington, the monument from the golf course. And there's a lot of rain. So we played the ball up, meaning if you hit it in the fairway or really anywhere that week, we got to lift it off the ground, clean it, and put it back. So that definitely helped because the conditions weren't that great. But yeah, I played with a gentleman named JP. He's from South America. He used to play professionally on the European tour. And then I played with another guy. His name is Gus. He's down in North Carolina and he's a part-time pro. And I played from the men's tees. Since transitioning, I've lost a ton of distance. So I was like hitting it way behind them all day. Like I was first person to hit second every hole basically. So it was intimidating, but my short game was great and I kept up with them. So it was fun.
So wait a minute, you mean to tell me you weren't driving like Tiger on those tees? Because you know what they say about us. Those trans women are driving off. They're going to be driving off the men's tees 400 yards, and they're going to the ball's going to go into geosynchronous orbit. All the nonsense.
Yeah, all of that nonsense.
Yeah, all the nonsense. But what was the one shot that you say that was my Jim Nance shot right there? That was my shot.
I'd say that shot for me that day, well, I wasn't keeping score. There was only one scorecard per group. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I can kind of forget about my score and the other person. He'll keep it for me. But we would say after every hole and coming down the stretch, I didn't know what the other guys were shooting because they weren't keeping their score. I wasn't keeping their score. But it was our second to last hole. I knew I was relatively close. So I came in third at 74, person in second shot a 72, the person in first shot a 69. So I was out of first by 5 shots. So coming down to the last couple holes, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm relatively close based on how it feels like we're playing. But so there's this shot. It was our second to last hole. I was like, okay, I'm really close. I need to make a birdie. And so I had about 210 yards into the hole. I hit a 5-wood, super high, towering, straight shot. Landed about 8 feet, rolled up to about 6 feet, and I made the putt for birdie. So that was, and I almost cried after I hit that shot from the fairway because I was like, damn, she still got it.
Birdie.
Yeah, it was.
Talk
it was,
about that.
fun shot.
Talk about that feeling when it was like. Talk about that. You just said you damn near cried.
Mm-hmm.
Take me back to that. What was it like when you realized I just hit the bird? Tweet. I just hit a bird.
It was probably actually one of the most proud moments I've had since coming out. I mean, to play in that event meant a ton, and to compete in it meant a ton, especially playing from the men's tees with the guys and being outdriven all day, but be able to be close to them. And given that I haven't played competitively in eons, and to still be able to get into that zone as athletes, I'm sure there's that flow in that zone when you're playing really well, and to just be able to jump back into that when I needed to and to hit that shot and do what I needed to in the moment. It was kind of like a holy crap, just the feeling of love for golf kind of exploded in my heart. Cause I'm like, I've done this for my whole life and I still can't get enough of it, even in instances like this where I'm nervous and there's something on the line. But yeah, it was cool.
Which hole was that?
It was hole 16. It was a shotgun start, and we started on 18, and our finishing hole was on 17, and it was my second to last hole of the day, so it was hole 16. If that makes sense.
So a birdie at 16, really the 17 in a lot of ways, if you're looking at shotgun start. But
I thought to myself, okay, I don't know necessarily where I stand, but I know I'm close enough that I have to do something here. I have to pull off a shot and make a birdie. And I stuck it from 210 yards with a 5-wood. I was like, oh my God, that was fun.
When you're in that zone, do you hear golf commentators in your head?
No, I hear nothing.
Oh, so you're a clear the mechanism kind of athlete. You don't hear it, it's just you, the course, the wind, and you don't even think about anyone else.
If anything, it's just my breath. I just try to feel my breathing and my heart rate and just try to get it to a place where I'm not I'm just so in the moment. It's just so calm. That's how I play my best golf.
Being in the moment. How has the love of this game, of this sport, affected your transition? Where did golf factor in, if it factored in?
Well, when I came out, I decided to get out of the golf industry because I just didn't think that it was like the safest place for my mental health. Because if you can guess, think about it, like golf is filled with older white guys who tend to vote Republican. So I thought to myself, well, this isn't a place that I want to be changing, and I'll always be on high alert with my nervous system. So I decided to get out of the golf industry, and I was devastated. I was like, I'm never going to be in golf again. And I was so sad. But over the year and a half or so that I've been transitioning, I've realized there's a lot more support and love out there in golf. There's a lot of like hate too, but there is also a lot of love, which keeps me like really wanting to get back into it. I haven't jumped back into it quite yet, but I will eventually. Like, it's inevitable because it's just like a part of me. It's like my destiny to be in the golf industry, despite like all of the challenges that I'm going to face. But yeah, and transitioning and my golf game wise has been wild because like I hit the ball so much different now. I have to play different because I can't swing the club quite as hard. Like I can't take a full whack at it because my muscles can't do the same thing as they used to. So it's been an interesting change, to say the least. So
Actually, that was going to be my next question. I mean, and expand on that. What are some of the adjustments? Where was your game at before? And what are the adjustments you had to make to still play this game now?
That's a good question. Well, in college, I was exercising quite a bit, and the fastest my swing speed ever was 112 miles an hour. Since transitioning, I haven't taken my club head speed, so I don't know how fast I swing it or my ball speed. But for instance, my 7-iron, I used to be able to poke it out there like 185, a full shot. But nowadays I'm like 170, 165, 170. So that's like a full, 15 to 20 yards that I've lost just from, transitioning with my hormone medication. And I'm sure if I kept exercising hard and kept playing, I could get the swing speed back up, but it's definitely limited the way in which I can play the game, which has been really interesting.
Now, how did you get here? What was the point where you said, you know what, it's time for me to make this move?
How did I get here, as in my transition?
Yes. How did you get here? Where was the point where you said, you know what, I got to do this. It's time for me to do this.
It was at a point where it was in 2022. I was unfortunately taken by the cops from my home. I was with my parents. I was having suicidal thoughts, and I was hurting myself. And I went to a mental health facility for a couple days up here in New Hampshire, and then I was taken down to Connecticut for 12 days. And there is where I disclosed for the first time to the doctors, about my gender identity, and learned more about myself. And at that time is when I decided to come out to my parents. And then just from there, I started to make the small changes in my life. And I wasn't thinking about golf at the time when I came out. Like, it was just for like survival and my safety. But then once I started to think about like, wait, my career's in golf and like who I am, it was hard. It was a hard pill to swallow. But I do hope that like in the future, hopping back into golf, like I can be a beacon of inspiration for some young people, because I know there's other trans golfers in the world, like Haley Davidson. I've talked with her a couple of times. She's down in Florida. She's a warrior. She's incredible. I know someone out in Australia, as well as another young trans woman who's from Toronto, Canada, who loves to play golf. And I'm like, with where I'm at in golf and what I have done in my career, and maybe getting back into the fold of golf, I will be visible, which scares the shit out of me, honestly. But it also is it's like a badge of honor being out there, being seen, because I know that there's people that support me, and the people who don't, they have something to learn. They have a lot to learn, actually. And I think golf is an avenue in which can have a lot of impact in regards to somebody like me being visible in the sport. So I'm trying not to overthink that, but I know when I hop back into golf, it'll definitely be different than before. That's for sure.
how do you feel about where the temperature is in society right now?
It's a lot of either you see people like us and they're unbothered, or the people are uncomfortable and there's something that comes out of it. I did hear a few slurs pointed my way when I was down there, which was interesting because it was a super diverse golf course, so many different people, but I heard a few of the F words, and I don't know, it's a kind of a quieted temperament, I'd say, because like people are biting their tongues. They only know what they know, but like I think people like want to be mean sometimes, but they bite their tongues, but you can just like feel it. I don't know. I'm big on like picking up on like energy and like and stuff like that. But the people who are sweet and the people who are kind will come up and say something and be supportive, and like they can tell. Like there's been a few times I'm on the range and some, I guess, older gentlemen or whatnot, there's a lot of old guys in golf, they'll come up and compliment my swing, and then they'll like start talking to me, and they'll be very, very sweet and very kind, which is like reassurance that it's an okay place to be. I don't have to be scared all the time.
But are you scared of kind of the way things are going? Just away from that moment, away from that bubble.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said no. But that's the thing. Like, that's why, like, people like Haley Davidson and people like you and people like me out there being proud and playing the sports we love. Like, it's hard right now, but like we're starting to make the little bits of change that need to happen over time for us to be included, supported and loved in sports, because we deserve to play as well. And yeah, it's what's it like for you? Can you give me, what's it like for you? Like,
what's it like for, you're asking, what's it like for me?
Yeah. As a black woman.
I'll say this, being black, being trans, being in sports,
mm-hmm.
At one level, I'm deathly afraid of the society we're in right now. I like you just said, I'd be lying if I say I wasn't. And I've had some rough experiences in sports, but the experience that I've had playing, for example, playing football the last 3 years, it's been beautiful. I mean, just like you had that moment on the 16th, knowing you needed a birdie and you nail it, I've had many of those moments my last 3 years playing football, in part because of the people who were around me, the teammates I had around me. All cisgender women, all cisgender coaches, a team administrator and a team owner, all cis. And not only, they were not just affirming, they were loving. It was truly a team. So to answer that, I've had that, and I've had that moment. But also I have a question, because I also know you do a lot of creative work. Recently you did, I mean, there was that beautiful thing we were talking about before we started the interview, you at the Pink Pony Club.
Mm-hmm.
That was gorgeous. I happened to check something out. I ran across on YouTube just looking around, and there's this video from Golf Bug Studio that is hashtag just keep swinging. I was watching, I was wondering is that Benny Westcott?
Yes.
That is you?
Yes.
So
that's me.
That is you. And I got to say, the swing was really, really nice. That is a good, I mean, I'll admit, I have a lousy swing. I could use a swing doctor. Yes. Yes. You want to volunteer? You want to volunteer for that job?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because because there's one thing here at Transposition Sports. You see, at Transposition Sports, we have a tradition. And it's a very important tradition that we've had ever since the show started. You see, at Transposition Sports, if you've never seen the show before, one thing you have to understand is we do show highlights. And you know what? We do show yours. We do.
I've been on the verge of posting more like swing videos and golf content, but actually yesterday I just deleted my socials again. I'm going to take some time away, but yeah, this was a good swing. This was a great drive and a good hole. It was almost a birdie, but
first off, can we talk about the fits? Can we
So
talk about? No, we need to talk. We need to talk about the golf wear.
sure. I thrifted the skirt. I love it. It's like checkered. If you can see it in the video, it's like Finnish flag checkered. It can be versatile. I can wear it front ways, back ways. I love it too. And then the top is just kind of like a multi-strapped back. That it was a gift from somebody, and then just a Callaway visor, and got some new golf shoes that I love. But, yeah, I love golf fashion. That's something I'm definitely getting more into too.
See, now that's one thing. You're about the fourth person I've interviewed who's also talked about the fashion of it, the fashion of the sport. But actually, and I've got to admit, I like the fits. But now, walk me through this swing. What makes this so sweet, and what can I learn from it?
So I'd say my posture is something that I've been working on a lot. Not too much bend at the knees, and just nice smooth tempo. Like, you never want to be too quick in golf. Like, sometimes we just want to hit it really hard. But the smoother we swing it and the more we're able to find the center of the club face, the better it's going to go. So lately I've just been trying to swing it smooth and like not overswing, because I can't. Like, my muscles nowadays aren't letting me overswing the club, which has actually helped my golf game, I would say. I'm not like trying to muscle everything and just hit everything super hard, like testosterone aggression. I'm not like, it's like a bit easier swinging. So
coming into the home stretch on this, first, how do you answer to people who will say, you know what, Westcott, you have an unfair advantage. It's unfair. Your 74 was built from an unfair advantage. How do you answer to that?
That's something that, from now and then even from that round and going forward, I played from the men's tees. So if there's any sort of like, people want to say, oh, distance advantage, like I played from the further back tees, so that doesn't make sense. Also, I'd say, like, I know people like tall cis men who are super jacked, hit it 320 yards. They pipe the ball, they hit it super far, but they can't putt to save their life, and they'll still shoot 85. There's just like this like stigma and predisposition that men are better at women in sports, and then they like take that and pour it on cis women, trans women, and then they say like, oh, you're just biologically better. It's like, no, in certain sports, there's certain nuances to sports, but they're trying to also like get rid of trans women in darts, and chess, stuff like that. Like, but also like I could go out there, and if I were to play with, compete with cis women in tournaments, say if I did hit it 20 yards past everybody, I could still shoot an 80, and they could all still shoot like low 70s and beat me. So like, there's an athleticism portion that people are totally forgetting. Like, you can be super strong, but still suck at sports. So like, people need to understand that it's not just about like the levels of hormones in your body. You have to be good at something in order to compete. And like, that takes skill, and like, that can't necessarily be taught, can be taught, but like, there's natural athleticism that people are just totally throwing out the window and saying, oh, you were born with a penis, you're automatically better than that person. It's like, wow, you are way off the rails in understanding sports. And that's the thing. People who say that stuff aren't really athletes. They're just keyboard warriors and people who just need something to argue about.
And the exit question, what's next for you? Coming off this great round and this beautiful thing, and just seeing the glow coming off your skin and the glitter in your eyes as you describe this. What's next for you in the game and outside the game? What's the next big thing?
The next big thing, I have no idea, honestly, in regards to golf. I feel like one day I'll get back into content creation. I think it'll be where I'm sharing my story. I do feel like at some point in my life, I will get to the place where I feel comfortable sharing on platforms and being in the golf space, because I know I have support and love there. But I guess it's really just trying to become as good of a golfer as I can. Like, I'll just go out and play after work, and try to get my handicap down as low as possible. And then, there is something I'll share. It's called the Creator Classic. It's a golf tournament, a series of golf tournaments where there's these content creators in the golf space, people like Roger Steele, there's Paige Sporanic, Claire Hogel, there's hole-in-one trick shots. There's a few different people that I like to follow on social media who all create great content and have been selected to compete in this tournament called the Creator Classic. And they hosted it at Eastlake Golf Course down in Atlanta during the Tour Championship. They played at the Philadelphia Cricket Club up in, well, obviously Pennsylvania. And then they played down at TPC Sawgrass the Wednesday before the Players Tournament. That definitely is something that's growing. And my goal is within the next couple of years, get my game into a place and my content in a place where I'm selected to play and I would love to win. Like, I know I can. Like, I've shot some low scores in tournaments and I know I can get to that spot. And I think that would really like inspire a ton of people. And so my goal is to win the Creator Classic.
Well,
you can look it up on YouTube. It's a whole series and it's growing and I'm inspired by those people on there. And I know that, you know, working my butt off to get there and to hopefully come in top 5 would be my goal. But you know, I think it's something that I can do and it would have a pretty positive impact.
Well, as you take your cuts there, we're going to follow you. Benny Westcott, it's been an honor. It's been a privilege. Thank you for being on Transposition Sports.
Thank you very much for having me, Karleigh.
The cool thing about that interview was the gleam in Benny Westcott's eyes as the beauty of that interview for me was the gleam in Benny Westcott's eyes as she described the shot that got her on the podium. The love of the game, of being there, of being a part of a sport that she lives and breathes, and now she can truly live it and breathe it as her best self. That is what sports should be about. You know, if you're of a certain age, you know a certain phrase that you heard perhaps every Saturday and Sunday. Jim McKay's perfect baritone talking about the human drama of athletic competition. The human drama. Human. Athletes are just that, human. I have a friend, Jason Mercurio. He's a young trans man. He's a budding activist and theoretician on these issues. And when he heard about the FA's demeaning, hindering, nasty ruling against transgender men, he had some things to say. He said, quote, "This is way bigger than just demeaning to trans men. Can't anyone see that? It's more than demeaning. These men are being forced to be traitors to all trans people. Because the Declaration is basically saying that trans people don't exist. It's bioessentialist, eugenicist, racist garbage." You think that sentence is too stern? Too bad, because there's a lot of truth in it. Especially when we're talking about Caster Semenya. Believe me, if we were talking about Keely Hodgson, this hits different. If we're talking about Laura Muir, it certainly hits different. You know it and I know it. And only Avery Brundage or a fool, I know, redundant phrase, say otherwise. But there are those who are seeing the human side of all this and they speak on it. I have another person I hold in high regard. Once upon a time, she was an Australian middle distance runner named Madeline Pape. Madeline Pape was a World University Games champion at 800 meters in 2009. That same year, she competed in her first World Championships. And in her heat, in the 800 meters, there was also a young gun from South Africa named Caster Semenya. Semenya ended up winning the heat. Pape finished 6th. But Pape, throughout the years, crossed paths with Semenya at meets again and again. And along the way, as the controversy surrounding this young budding champion grew, Pape got to know this person, got to know their story, but also study the issues. Now, that young Australian then is far removed from competition, but not removed from sport, and certainly not removed from this issue. She's known as Dr. Madeleine Pape these days. She's a noted writer and theoretician on matters of gender and equity in sport. And a few months ago, she was sitting in a panel in Geneva, Switzerland, and she talked about this human side of this issue involving athletes who are human.
Sport as a mirror of social norms, but I think it's actually really important to recognize that sport shapes social norms. It's a very active institution in the way that in how we form our own ideas about gender. And so that's why actually a lot of anti-trans organizations have specifically targeted sport. It's not an accident. They know that people have very strong emotional investments in the way that we have built narratives about binary female-male difference in sport, that there is, somehow a bright line in between women on one side and men on the other, which is just an artifact of how we've organized sport, from a very young age. And that's, for me, the really troubling part is that all women are shortchanged by this narrative. The problem, and I think that, Alba mentioned this too, it's not trans women that are the problem undermining women's experiences in sport. It's the fact that sport remains male-dominated, that women are not valued to the same degree as men. They're not paid the same. They don't get the same opportunities. They experience harassment, violence, abuse, a lot of online harassment in sport, which is obviously also the experience of boxer in Paris, Karleigh in Paris. So we need to work together, and I think that was a really great message at the very beginning of this movie or this documentary as well, was that we shouldn't be in competition. We've got to be in solidarity and really reveal the fact that gender inequality in sport continues to be what undermines equity and fairness for everybody.
You just heard why I revere and respect Dr. Pape so much, because in learning more for herself, she got to the derma of the human part of the issue. And my worry as a person who reveres sports, loves sports, plays sports, covers sports, is that we're taking steps back after so many decades of sports not only moving forward, but helping societies move forward as well. Do we want to go back to chromosomal testing? Well, World Athletics already is. Will we go back to naked parades? Will we go back to the 1920s and 1930s when women in sport were told, sport will make you infertile. Sport will make you a man. Back to the days of Avery Brundage. It's scary to think that in 2025, attitudes are going back to 1925. And it's not just trans athletes. It's not just differences in sexual development. We're starting to see this idea of athletes being in a box. And not just because of trans people in sports. And now trans men are being demeaned in the same fashion, as you see again with the FA. But we're also seeing that in our mainstream sports. We're seeing fans who are now rallying around a player, not because they're great, we're seeing that in the WNBA right now, but because they fit a mold that certain people are comfortable with after decades of seeing people we're uncomfortable with. We're going back to the days when a tabloid can brazenly say, this player will make our girls gay. The irony of it is, the player that they were talking about back then is now doing the same thing to women like me, because we're trans and play a sport. Again, if you know, you know. I don't want to see any athlete demeaned, whether they're man or woman, whether they're non-binary, whether they're cis or trans, whatever they may be. Sport shouldn't be used to knock people down. Sports lifts people up. I know about that. I know about being lifted up because sports has lifted me up for my entire life. And this weekend, sports will lift me up again as I lift up the name of the team that I've proudly played for the last 2 years as they head into a playoff game. I'm banged up, got injured in our last playoff game. So I'm out for this one, but I'll be there down in Virginia rooting for the team and showing them love because so many of the players and so many of my teammates have shown me that same love. That's the human drama of athletic competition. And in these difficult times, amid these difficult issues, those of us who truly revere sport need to remember the key word in that sentence, the human drama of athletic competition, human. For Transposition Sports, I'm Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb.
Right. Well, we are back. All right. I guess we need to close the show out now. Any final thoughts from my girls?
Well, my final thought is twofold. Number one, always good to get some Madeline Pape on the show. Working on getting Madeline Pape on a future show. She's a fascinating person to talk to. And as Benny Westcott gets back on the links, we're gonna make sure that we keep a mark on her progress in future shows. People who will be coming here, we're gonna be organizing a roundtable of former athletes who are now in the issue as far as teachers, professors, learned people in sport. One person I'm definitely going to have on a future show is Dr. Johanna Melness from Ursunine College, who is a professor on the history of sport and equity in society. And she always has some good things to say. I definitely want to bring Michael Waters back, the author of the other Olympians. And if you want to get a historical perspective on what you're seeing right now as far as sport, get that book. That's one of the most important books written on these issues ever. It is a definitive history of the first time we really saw gender issues, differences in sexual development issues front and center in sport. And it was the Berlin Olympics of 1936. That was truly the first queer Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had a lot of queer at that Olympics. See, and that book, in fact, we had Michael Waters here on Transposition Sports last year when the book came out. And also, I'm going to say something very, very special to end it up with. Next week, I'll tell this right now. Transposition Sports becomes NFL Films because due to the ankle injury that's kept me out of this game, I'm going to become Stephen Ed Sable for a weekend. And I'm going to have a little fun with it. So I'm going to the National Conference Championship game between the Connecticut Ambush and the Richmond Black Widows. I'm gonna bring a little NFL Films to Transposition Sports.
Break it down.
I'm looking for. I mean, I'd rather be playing, but then again, due to the WFA's regulations and the fact that the state of Virginia has really passed some anti-trans laws, I wouldn't be able to play if I was healthy. And that's the hard part. And that's one of the hard parts about all this. But there's always a way to contribute. There's always a way to be a part of it. And I'm going to bring my camera down to Virginia and I'm going to be a part of it. And I want to send a shout out to my entire team. Some of the people already heading down. I'm heading down tomorrow. And I also want to send a shout out to our head coach, Lori Lindo, our defensive coordinator, Jennifer Stanko-Garzone, and our offensive coordinator / guru / General Dodonna of this Rebel Alliance that we're going to be bringing to Virginia, Les Moffitt. Thank you for letting me be and of course our owner, Colleen Vasurka. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. And the most important thing, to the 30 intrepid, proud women I've been proud to call my teammates this year. 2 more steps to go. Step 1 is Saturday. Let's get it done. Go Black, go Orange, go Ambush.
Well, I'm not playing this weekend, but I am actually setting up the race course for a local club's annual regatta. So, yeah, it's banal and it's trite and trivial, but that's the way we live our lives. We're just people. It's exciting to us. It shouldn't be particularly sensational to anybody else.
We're just people.
You know? we're just human beings who are trying to do our best, and every now and again, people appreciate that without reference to other characteristics. It's like, why don't we get to run the races? No, she can do a good job. Get her, hire her. Why make her? We need her to make this work. It's just that simple. I wish the media, the people who harp on this issue over and over again, would just get over themselves and thus get over us. We're here. We exist. We're not going away. And if my existence is somehow a cause of your discomfort, that's a you problem. It becomes a me problem when you legislate your bigotry into law. And it's a problem for me when my friends sit aside and let that happen. So that's the intersection of things.
All right.
For me.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate everybody. And obviously, the Transpositions crew will be back here next week with apparently footage, exclusive footage from Karleigh. Are you going to be on the sideline? Yeah.
I'm going to be on the sideline up top. We're going to just, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. We're going to
I might shoot some sailboat racing, but that's like narrating that is like narrating grass growing. So it's going to be that'd be tough.
I mean, I can tell you this much. I know who's going to be narrating this highlight film because she has told me that she's going to be narrating it, and she says that if she doesn't get to narrate it, it's going to be a problem. That's going to be Kirby Facenda.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hit that button. I guess we can wrap up
Let's
tonight.
hit the button.
Thank you so much.
My job. Right. Good night, everybody.
Good night. So long, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
See you next week.
Play outro and end stream. Yep.